Okay, so hi. Didn't actually know I was live. Yeah, they just thought I was setting up. I was setting up. I was setting up. Hi. I was setting the stuff up. I didn't actually know I was going live. Actually live. Hi, Ronnie. Yeah, I'm just setting up right now. Got the RC600 on the floor and had no clue I was already live. I'm not using any software at all. I'm just literally using Chrome and using YouTube, and there you go. Bit of back BTS stuff going on. That's really loud, isn't it? Sorry, there we go. That's probably a bit better. Yeah, I've got the i600 on the floor. Hi everyone, welcome to the live stream. Let's call this the pre-show, shall we? Um, I need to make so. Long story cut short, I've got a new computer which is right here, and it's very mini. If you can probably guess what that is, and I haven't set it up yet with things like OBS and ReStream and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just using Chrome, and I just went live, and I've got my camera, and that camera's connected to it, and that's all fine. And I was like, oh, I'll just click live, and then just it went live. I was expecting it to be like a pre thing, and then press live afterwards. I've not really done live streams with just Chrome and just YouTube. So hi everyone, hope you're well. Video and sound is okay. Yeah, once I plugged this in, the first minute I didn't actually have anything plugged in. I'm glad it sounds okay. I'm going to change over though to the RC600. So the way I do that is I use a cable that I was looking for, and I went, hang on a minute, is that live? Are you live? So yeah, so I'm going to change over to the RC600 in a minwee because obviously that's going to be better, surely. So give me a sec, and 600's on the floor. I'll move this chair out the way and stuff, and we'll get sorted. If you got any questions, by the way, then you're more than welcome to ask them. And this live stream is sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. These guys, DistroKid Gremlin. There is a link in the description box if you want to go and grab that. I was going to say all this later, but I might as well just say it now. Let's stay live. If you've got questions about looping, I've just dropped an apology video because of the live the play stop method. I was just going to do a bit of practicing and go live, but yeah, it's kind of caught me off guard now. There we go. I hope everyone's all right. If you're watching, give it a thumbs up just to say hi, and just put hi in the chat like Ronnie has. Video and sound okay, cool, good. Well, it's going to change, so yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to get the camera to follow me. Why not? It can follow me while I'm setting stuff up. There's my Sony camera that points down. You can see all behind the studio and stuff if you want. And I normally have a cable for this is, by the way, I've had a couple of questions like, you see all these stuff like, what's this? This is like a little drawer that's got all my cables shoved in it for when I need them. He says when need them, but when I actually want a specific cable, can I find it? Can I heck? I'm always like that. So yeah, so I'm looking for a specific USB cable. So the RC600 does USB-B, as you may well know, but then I need an USB-B to USB-C adapter. I can't remember where I've put it, if I'm completely honest. So you can just follow me around the studio, around the room, looking for a cable. It's the best live stream ever. So if you're wondering what camera I'm using, this is the Obsbot Tail Air, which is one there where I can just put my hand up, and then it stops following me, and then if I put my hand up again, it follows me. So if it didn't actually follow me that time. There we go. Let's see. Hello. Thank you. There we go. So at the moment, I'm just using that, and I'm just looking for cables in the studio, which of course, being a completely disorganized person, that's what you always do. You always end up looking for stuff. So there we go. Oh, that's where that is. Okay, good. Yeah, I need that cable. I don't know where it is to be able to do a live stream with the looper. I was just going to do it at practice, if I'm honest. So yeah, where have I put that cable? That's the question on everyone's lips. Is it connected under here? No, it's not that one. There we go. I'm going to rename this "Finding Cables." That's the live stream. So yeah, I feel like I'm under pressure now because I know I'm being watched. Really weird. I don't know where that cable's gone. Yeah. I could use that, I suppose, but then I haven't got a B to C adapter. Right, let's use that instead. So I've got a short one, which is kind of B to A, and then I've got this little USB-C adapter to go into the Mac. But it's finding that other cable. I had a really long cable, and I don't know what I've done with it. It's the cable I use normally with the 505 Mark II. So where has that gone? This is the mystery that we will solve together. It's normally here. It's normally with the 505. I've moved it for some specific reason, and now it's gone. Don't know where it is. Wait a minute. Is it in the gig bag? No, it's not. It's not with that. So the alternative is using that one. I could two. Why do you sound weird? Hello? 222. 1 2 1 2. Weird. One, two, 1 2. Still watching? Right. Let's have a look. 2 2 2 2 2. Let's turn it off. Where's that cable gone? What about them there? If only JP was organised, eh? Be lethal. Lethal. First time watching one of your live streams. Well, it's not what you normally have because I'm currently looking for a cable. So welcome to Searching for a Cable with JP. I've watched all your RC500 videos. Oh, thanks, Arthur. What was your name of the camera you're using again that follows you? This is the Obsbot Tail Air. Now I work with Obsbot because I think their cameras are fantastic. They've also got webcams. So they've got the webcam called the Tiny and the Tiny SE and all that kind of stuff. But the flagship, I've actually got two. So the other one is there it is. That's it. So it's called the Tail Air. And it basically can literally follow you around by AI, which is clever. So you put your hand up and it follows you as it's doing right now. So it's really, really cool. Fast Eddie, just practice with them, mine, and it's on right now. There we go. Good, fantastic. Eddie, how did Play Stop work for you? Did you see the new video? You did. You commented on it. I know you did. Literally just brought that video up like an hour ago. The Play Stop 1 on an RC600 is instant. Like it instantly works. Excuse me a second. Sleep Tiny. You can talk to one of the cameras, and that's one of the commands. Whereas Play Stop 2 and 3, it's kind of like records when you lift your foot off. So I wasn't aware of that, and thank you to the looping community, the Loop Squad, as I like to call it, for pointing that out. And then obviously that's why I had to basically change the system. So I changed the actual memory. I am absolutely stumped as to where this cable's gone because I normally have it for live streams. That's how I connect the 505 Mark II. Where on earth has that gone? Don't have too many cables. Be a minimalist. Don't be like JP. I have got cables missing, and that's a problem. So I have a 2 meter, or is it even a 3 meter U-green cable, which is USB-B, which is the back of the RC600, to USB-C, which goes into all the modern stuff, like a Mac, for example. And it's like a big I think it's 3 meter. It's a big braided cable by Ugreen, which is lovely. I actually have the 1 meter and the 2 meter, and I can't find either of them. That's the right angled one. That's not that one. It's not that one. I'm using it for something else. I bet you I am. I've plugged something in and not realised that I'll use that, it'll be fine, and then I've robbed it from something else. So, let me know what's going on with lesson 1, keep spare cables and adapters. Jeff, I completely agree with you. But knowing me, I'll use the spares for something else and then try and find the originals, and then I won't be able to find either. So, yeah, great one. Well done, JP. So, yeah. But as you can see, the tail air can follow you, and it can follow you quite well. Even if, I hide and then I do this, it it just follows you. It's really good. Oh, well. As soon as I finish this live stream, I'll find that cable. You know that's going to happen, don't you? So, yeah. No. Won't be in that box because that would be stupid if it's in that box. Is it in that box? No, that's all my lighting stuff with the Maestro and the lights. That makes sense. I've actually made sense somewhere. So where is that cable? I'm going to need that cable, so I might as well spend the time finding it because I'm going to need it for future live streams. I don't know where the flip it's gone. Oh, dear. Anyway, that's the thingy cable. That's the dummy battery, so that's not that one. That is a Ugreen cable, which is very, very good, by the way, which is a right-angled cable, USB-C right-angled. Very, very useful, but it's USB-A, not USB-B, which is what I need for the RC600. Really wish the RC600 was USB-C. It'd be really, really handy if it was. I can foresee all future products being like that, though, so it can only be a matter of time. This is where you start pointing out, you've looked there, JP, you've looked there. I'm like, yeah, I know. No. This normally has something in it. No. Welcome to my brain, everyone. Where, yeah, it's not good. Give me 1 sec. Okay, that's fine. Right, I do have a USB-B to USB-C cable. It's quite short, or USB-A, and then I've got an adapter, but it's quite short, and that's why I have the really long one, so I can do the live streams. The alternative is actually the Mackie Showbox, and that has USB-C out, so I can go USB-C to USB-C. So I could do that. Let's see. I don't think, though, once you do a live stream on Chrome, I don't know if I can actually change the audio. Are you going to let me change the audio? I don't think you can you? Is there a way to change? Does anyone know? Is there a way to change the audio on just Chrome? Just going straight up live? Let's have a look. You do not have access to this feature. Okay, so settings. That's just monetization settings. It's not. There's my mic. I can mute the microphone. I can't change the microphone. How mad's that? It like locks it in. Like it's systematic. Hang on a minute. Sound, input. No, that's the wrong input anyway, so it's not that. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm not just going to end the live stream just because of that. Tell you what we'll do. We'll change, obviously, what we're going to do today, and we will do this live stream a little bit ad hoc. And let's stop the tracking, and let's move back to our little movement there. Let's do that. So, as you can see behind me, just there is my setup with the RC600, and my pedal board, which is the new X Bumblebee large. So lots of people moving over to that now because you can find little spaces to put the RC600 on the bottom, which is awesome because it means that basically you're getting a really tight sort of knit pedal board, which is really cool. I am still looking for this cable, by the way. That's really, it's because it's annoyed me. It's annoyed me that I have where is it gone? My grandmother said, "Find what you're looking for with your own heart's eye." Ooh, I like that. That's nice. Um, that sounds like a line in a song. Um, yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it today. Anyway, um, so little bit of news. Something that's coming. So. I've been playing with this anyway. So this is the Arturia Mini Freak Stella, and I was playing with this for 1 or 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing a review of this, but from a looping point of view. But then also there's a version 3 of the software. We're going to go into the granular synthesis of this, and it is awesome. For the price of this keyboard, what you get is phenomenal. In my eyes, personally, I love Arturia stuff anyway. So yes, I'm a little bit biased, but also at the same time, it it's like pound per engine. It's really, really good. Additionally, something that's coming soon. I have basically working with Toman in the UK and also Europe, and we're going to be going over these. These are the Audio Technica ATHR70XAs. I've not even opened them yet because they arrived this morning, and we're going to go over what is a studio in the sense of if you're going to be making music this year. If I've got speakers in this room, this is just a room in my house, but if I've got a speaker in this room and the room isn't treated, then what's the sound like? Now, the last sort of tracks I did on headphones, and I actually mixed and mastered them on headphones and mixed and did them on open back headphones, and that's what they are. So we're going to go into them. We're going to go into open back headphones. There'll be a review on that coming later on. And then what else? We're going to also be doing more stuff with Obspot. So right now I'm using the Tail Air to do a live stream, and as you quite clearly saw, I can just put my hand up, and then he says, "It's not doing it now." There we go. There we go. It's got to be a little bit forward, and it can literally just track you, and it can move, and you can do some really clever things. For example, it has presets, so I can say with a preset, move into a certain way, which is really cool. Now, why am I talking about cameras on a music channel? Well, if you're doing a live stream like this and you've only got one camera, this can track you and follow you around, maybe whilst you're searching for a cable, or maybe because you're doing a performance like a live stream. So things like that work really, really well and really useful. So I thank Obspot graciously because they brought out two cameras. They brought out the SE range, which is the tiny SE and the Meet SE. So one of them's 100 and well, with taxes and everything else. And basically they marketed it as £99, but it's actually outside the US, it's $129. And that's for the tiny SE, the one that moves. And the Meet SE doesn't move; it's static, but it can track you within its range, which is something like $69 or $79. So for less than $200 US, you can have two cameras. And I'm going to build a thing through with OBS to show you how you can set up as a musician. So I'm going to have one camera looking at me, and the other camera, as it doesn't move, I'm going to slap onto my my mic stand. And then that's it. It's looking at my pedal board. So then if you're just using something as simple as OBS, where is that camera, in fact? There we go. Here. Ugh. Here it is. Look how tiny that is. Literally, it's called Tiny. His name is Tiny. And This is the SE one, so it's 1080. So most live streams are not beyond 1080 unless it's a big production. Like they're not 4K live streams. This is 1080, and that's more than enough. And most musicians probably wouldn't use the microphones of these, but they will use the camera for it to track you. And then the other one is the Meet. I think it's still in the box somewhere. Again, organized. And what I really like about this is it's got the big thing for musicians is it's got a thread on the bottom. So it's got a thread you can put then onto a clamp. Or you can just clamp it onto your PC monitor if you wanted to, or computer monitor. So I'd have this like here on the desk, like pointing at me over there, and then the other one would actually be on the mic stand pointing down at there. So again, for under $200, you're going to be able to do a live stream with two cameras. And what's really clever is when you get technology that then filters down, you get like the flagship stuff like the tail air, and then that technology kind of filters down between the tinies and everything else. The SE has got the same kind of sensor in the sense of it does what's called dual ISO. So it looks for really low light. If you have a look at the video I did about this, about the SE, and also about the Meet as well, SE, then you can see that the dual ISO is working. I turn off all the lights, and it still gets a picture. It still gets a picture, which is really, really good. So you can get a 4K camera, but if you're only going to be using it for live streaming, 4K image, obviously scaled down to 1080, is going to look great. Of course it is. But a 1080 good sensor will look fantastic and it won't cost you the earth. So I'm going to be doing a live stream about that with them. I'm going to do that with OBSBot as well. And do it with OBS, which is the open broadcast software. And then you've got OBSBot, the company who make cameras. So it's going to be an OBS bot, OBSBot, all in one. Just bear in mind that OBS isn't owned by OBSBot and OBSBot aren't owned by OBS. But yeah, you get the idea. So there we go. When you have live streams, how do you overcome your latency? Do you plug your microphones into your camera or an interface? Good question. I actually plug it into an interface. So the interface I use, in fact, I don't even need to do that. Let's just put you back the way you were. Let me just go over this way. Will you see it? You might see it. There's my phone. It's just on the edge here. So if I move my phone out of the way, can you see the interface here? This is the Arturia Audio Fuse Studio. It's actually an older interface now, in terms of interfaces, but it's an 18. It's an 18 in 20 out audio interface. What I like about it is a lot of the stuff's on the top, so a lot of the controls on the top, and then your plugs are at the front. And I've been using that for the past couple of years. I love Arturia stuff. I like their Audio Fuse stuff. I've got the Audio Fuse, the Mini Fuse 4. That's really, really good. So yeah, so I'll use the cameras and then plug in an audio interface and then put them together, kind of thing. If you use the microphones from cameras, then you're not going to get the full dynamic range of your stuff. Alternatively, if I don't use an audio interface, I'll plug the RC600 straight into the computer, and that is an audio interface. So it's a 2 in, 2 out by default, but then you can change it over to vendor mode, vendor. And I can't not say that. Vendor. It sounds like some kind of like character out of like Street Fighter. Vendor fight. Yeah, so it's basically a 8 in, 8 out audio interface, but you wouldn't do that for live streaming. You just need a 2 in, 2 out. The alternative is things like that. I'm now blocking it there. The Showbox USB-C. I think it's 3 in, 2 out. Doesn't matter as long as it's 2 out, left and right, stereo, USB-C, straight into computer. Done. So you can plug all your stuff into that, and then the output of that goes into there, and then that way, at the same time, I can hear it. Before I did that, I used that, which is the Mackie Reach. I can just see it there, big, tall. Ooh, that way, big, tall speaker. That's the Mackie Reach. I've used it for years. And then the output of that would go out to an audio interface. But the key thing is, it wouldn't turn off the speaker when using it. So I hope that makes sense. Yes, so there we go. Because I need to change the details of this live stream. RC600. and live stream questions. Let's put it like that. There we go. Right. The live stream name has now been changed to looping and live stream questions. The original plan was to actually practice with the RC600, and I have misplaced the cable that plugs my RC600 into my computer because it's a really long cable, and it means I wouldn't have any problems because I need that cable. Nice thing about the RC600 as well, if you plug the USB in, you can still use the jacks out to a normal speaker. So if you haven't got a speaker that's USB or USB-C, whatever, then you can just go RC600, USB from B to whatever, to A to C, whatever, out to your computer. That is your audio interface. But then at the same time, plug your normal jacks into the speaker so you can hear it whilst you're performing and looping and everything else. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that's how I do it for live streams. How do you overcome latency? Do you plug your microphones into your camera? No. So the answer is right now, this is the Aston Stealth mic. It's a condenser mic, so therefore it's on 48 volts onto power. It's going into the audio interface, the audio fuse, and then I'm using the Mac to kind of do the rest. Because I did one and the sound was way off from real time playing. Yeah, if you're using your computer to send the sound in and then back out to you, there's a journey there that's going to be latency. What I do is I set up as if I'm setting up for a pub gig or a gig, and then the output of that goes to the audience, and the audience is the computer. So therefore, I'm not listening to the computer at all. I'm not listening to the input, the output of the computer. I'm just listening to the speaker or something like that. I hope that makes sense. Might have been problems now. Remember the 4K camera, and it was set to 4K. You don't need to set it to 4K for live streaming. Okay, if you're on OBS, then set it for 1080 as a maximum. It's going to be good enough. Most people are watching on their phones, so you don't need to set it to 4K. You could set it to 4K for recording, and that's fine. Obviously, if you're filming stuff, and then you would move the audio and video so it's matched in post anyway. We've got so I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, there we go. RC600 question mark says Cosmic Sunbeams. Please tell me that's your band name. That's an awesome name. Cosmic Sunbeams. Love that. I'm listening. RC600 question mark. Yes. For those volumes on it, the silver knobs, yes, they're the input volumes for the dials on the Arturia. That they're the volume dials, which are very, very good. It's got 2 headphone inputs as well, so if you've got someone with you, you want to record, and it's very handy. 4 inputs on the front, loads on the back, and it's also a USB hub as well. It's very clever. Arturia seem to do this with audio interfaces. They make their audio interfaces a USB hub as well. Not a lot of people do that, which I find quite interesting. Can I ask you a question? Says, is it Coca? Yes, you can. I am a singer on stage. I connect the microphone and guitar to separate channels on the mixer and do tones and effects. I'm in between a Boss RC500 or an Ed Sheeran Looper Plus. Ooh. So that's a very good question. Yeah, I can't do that. That's cool. Well, I have a video actually all about that, and you could probably see me there I think I'm in this t-shirt, in fact, where I've got both them side by side. My question to you is, what do you need the looper to do? So if you want a rhythm section, it's the RC500, because the Sheeran Looper Plus doesn't have a rhythm section at all. The big one for me is actually the controlling the volume of the separate loops. The Sheeran Looper doesn't do this as of yet, so I don't know what's happening with it. And it has a separate input. I'm looking over here because it's here. Literally, I've got it right here. It's heavy. So this has instrument, mic, and main. So there are your inputs, and that's the output. But there's no control of volume 1, volume 1 for loop, volume 2 for looper 2. If you're using it as a single looper, then yeah, I mean it's like how Ed Sheeran does it, and that's fine. That is also a button as well, and these are the best pedals on the planet. They are the best. They are the best pedals on a looper, bar none. I've said that before. The feet are massive, and it's going nowhere when you put it on the floor because it's built like a tank, um, and it's great. However, it's missing things that the RC500 does have. One of the big ones is customization. Um, 500, which is just sitting up there, I've now put the Stadium Music RC500 pedals on it, and they are about the same size as an RC300 pedal, and they're great. In fact, I'll go get it. For those who joined at the very beginning of the live stream, this is where I'll pick something up and go, "Oh, there's the cable I've been looking for." Anyway, moving on. So this compared to ugh, this, these two, obviously you can see the size and the weight and everything else. But now I've got these pedals on them, these rocker pedals. They're freaking awesome, honestly, and that just sticks on. It's just one big strip that just sticks on. You can choose what colors you want, by the way. I've just decided to have them like that. These two are excellent. Okay, both of them are excellent, and both of them do the job of looping. That they're both got great audio quality. The pedals on these are the best. They are. Look at the size. I mean, the size of the pedal. Literally, if you miss that, you there's something wrong. So yeah. However, these pedals, oh god, that's heavy. I can customize them. I can tell these pedals to do something completely different. So these, I think personally, the 500 is the winner. That's me personally, because of course there's much more customization with the MIDI out as well as MIDI in. You've got you can route, you can actually program the routing on the output for this as well. So for me, if I was to choose between the two based on what I want to do, it's the RC500. Okay. Now, I'm not here to bash one against the other. They are both fantastic. And they're both fantastic things. You have to learn them. You have to learn a looper like an instrument anyway. So, transferable skill wise, a looper, when you learn looping, you're learning it like an instrument, and then you can take those techniques and put it into any looper. But there's certain muscle memories that happen when you're using certain pedals and certain loopers, and that's fine. A lot of people complained when the RC600 came out with the RC300 because they moved the start stop to the other side, completely other side. So everyone who used to do it with their left foot now has to do it with their right foot. What people didn't realize as well is you can customize those pedals to be anything. So the RC600 is, I'm sorry for the northwestern Liverpudlian slash comment, but it is Boss, aka. But it's brilliant. So for Coca, it's totally up to you. What I would highly recommend is get down to your local music store if you have one and try them out. Or if you've got somewhere where you can do a 14-day return policy, where you've had it open and you can play with it and still return it, do that. If you know looping, then you'll know pretty quickly like which one is going to suit you better. For me, the 500 suits me better because of the customization and what I wanted to do. However, the 600 is the Sheeran Looper Plus is an absolute monster. It really is. It's really good. Can I send the vocals and guitar from the looper to two separate channels on the mixer? Yes. Now, you're saying that you connect the microphone and guitar to separate channels on the mixer and do tones and effects. So the question then is, do you plug everything into the mixer and then the output of the mixer goes to the looper and then that goes out to the PA? Or are you plugging the looper into the mixer and then messing around with it? Personally, myself, I'd have the looper as the last thing in the chain, because if you're not looping, it just goes through it anyway. But then you need to make sure the routing is right for you. I hope that makes sense. Is what I said. Cosmic Sunbeams. How much does it cost? Are we talking about the RC600? That's a very good question, actually. Do you know what? I've not actually checked the price of an RC600 for quite some time. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm in the UK. So in the UK right now, Andertons have it at 449. Back Alley Music have it for 449. We've got Toman. What have Toman got it on? 411. There you go. So £411. Call it 400. Okay. I'm always going to go to Thomann because they're a bit cheaper, and they can sort you out. Yeah, 400 quid. There we go. RC 500, 250. Yeah, 249, 249, 245, around that price. Okay, that's about right. Okay, that makes sense. The question I had the other week was the Sheeran Looper X. Now, the Sheeran Looper X, actually, how much is the Sheeran Looper Plus now? Looper Plus 271. Okay. 274, 271, 259 on Thomann. There you go. Tomann's always cheaper. Go for okay, 259. So if you ironically, if you Google Sheeran Looper Plus, my video for the Sheeran Looper Plus versus the Boss RC500 comes up in search engines. So that's I'm really happy with that. There we go. Go and watch that. But price per thing. There is also another looper that's on the market, and you're looking between the RC500 and the Sheeran Looper Plus. I get that. They're the two big contenders for two-track loopers. There is now also the Valaton. So Valaton VLP 200, but now there's the Valaton VLP 400. And the 400 undercuts them both, retailing at 199. Now, it's in stock. It's available now, but you're looking at sort of like maybe a couple of days before you can get hold of one. Oh no, there you go. Anderton's. Order now, delivered Wednesday the 26th. There you go. You can get it literally tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? Yeah. There you go. 199. That's got 4 buttons, and that's actually got loop 1, loop 2, drums, and then assignable. And I haven't played with one yet, so I don't know what that does. There's a couple of effects and things like that. So that's it. There is no audio routing in Ed Sheeran Looper Plus. No. Please read second message. Oh, is that the message right? Can I send a vocal and guitar looper to separate channels? Yes, you can. It's harder on the Sheeran Looper. It's much easier on the 500. Simple as that. Can you use the RC500 to control your output or a output B separate? Eh? Can you? Oh, sorry. You can on the RC500 control your output A or output B separately. Yes. Sorry, I read that completely wrong, Eddie. Sorry about that. Arthur, Coca, JP will probably elaborate, but yes, yeah, you can on the 500. I shouldn't have said anything. Arthur just basically just went, yeah, you can. I just basically spent 10 minutes saying exactly the same thing. I understand. Thank you. Automatic recording on the 600. Do you ever use it? I have been lately, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, automatic recording. The reason why I don't use it is twofold. One, I want to get into a groove before I hit record. Sometimes I'll be a bit fast or a bit slow, certainly from a gig. And then the second reason as well is if I've got the mic open, all the mic channels go into every channel. So therefore, if someone goes, "Hey," it's going to automatically record because it'll go above that threshold. If you're in a studio or a quiet environment or stage environment, yeah, that would be pretty cool or wicked. Thank you guys. Cockett, you're welcome. Hi, just got on here. Good afternoon. I've never heard of the Ed Sheeran Looper. So it's called the Sheeran Looper Plus. There's also a Sheeran Looper X, but good luck trying to find one because I don't know what's going on with that. Does anyone know what's going on with that right now? The Sheeran Looper Plus. Sorry, the Sheeran Looper X. Oh my god. Okay, in stock in Anderton's 1099 still. Wow. Okay. Still in stock. Yeah, fine. Cool. Anton's 1099, Gear for Music 1121. You know, I get the Sheeran Looper Plus. Okay, Thomann, hang on. Ooh, in stock, Sheeran Looper X 879. That's the cheapest I've ever seen it. 800. I'm sharing my screen. You know when the people do that? Window, that one, go. There you go. Look at that. That is the cheapest I've ever seen the Sheeran Looper X. designed by Ed Sheeran and his team. Let's be honest. Multi-track, customizable looper workflow, 5 initial loops, 879. It'll get to you by Monday and Tuesday. Expected to be Monday, Tuesday. If you go to like any of the others, it's like 1,100 quid. 1099, 879. That's a big chunk. That is massive. That's a massive discount. Um, if you've never played with one of these before, go to the product page. There we go. I've got the Headrush Looper board, which is basically the predecessor of this. This is the Sheeran Looper X. It's an absolute monster, but the way you loop with it is very, very different to any of the Boss loopers. You loop and then you mute. You don't turn off loops; they keep going. Then they haven't done like an update to this where it doesn't do that. Ironically, the one before, which was this is made by Headrush in conjunction with Sheeran Loopers, that they haven't. The previous one that did the looper board, which is sitting there, it's just there in the corner. I did loads of videos on it a couple of years ago, literally when it came out years ago, before the pandemic, and that you can do like where you turn them off, you turn off the things, but they changed the UI on the Sheeran Looper X. But yeah, it's in stock. There was a moment where it wasn't in stock, if anyone remembers that. So yeah, there we go. 879 on Toman. Go and grab it at Toman. It's like literally, like like over 100 and almost 200 quid off. Almost 250 quid off. It's the price of a Sheeran Looper Plus off. That's pretty cool. There we go. I'm losing track on the questions. Skizz Roll, yeah, never heard of the Ed Sheeran Looper. Yeah, there's two of them. So there we go. Question from Ronnie. On the RC500 drum patterns, I can turn off the 4 drum section, snare, kick, and so on. Where can I do that on the RC600? You can't. So on the RC500, you have 4 parts, and you can turn on and off those 4 parts, but you can't make your own loop, your own drums. On the RC600, there are 4 drum beats. So there's drum A, B, C, and D, as in there's drum pattern. No, it's not even pattern. What is it? There's like within each beat, within each pattern, there's 4 beats. Okay, like an A, B, C, and D, and you can switch between them, but you can't turn off the individual bits. However, you can make your own beats. You can literally make your own beats from scratch. So then A could have no kick drum, B could be the one with the kick drum in, C could be the one where you put all the splashes in, because it accepts SMF files, which are standard MIDI files. Why did I say SMF files? It accepts SMFs, standard MIDI files, and that's why the RC rhythm converter exists, because the RC10R, the RC600, and the 505 Mark II all can use the rhythm converter, so you can build your own version. It takes longer, but it means that you're getting exactly what you want. Someone came to me on one of the live streams, said there's no reggae beats on the RC600. It's like, put your own in, because you can. There we go. Alter, howdy, how we doing? Are we all right? It's for guitar? It's for both. So we're talking about the Sheeran Looper. It's got combi. Ugh. It's got a combi jack in, so you can plug a microphone in or anything that's XLR, and then you've got 2 jacks. So yeah, it's been marketed, of course, with like guitar, like Ed Sheeran style, but you could plug anything into it. Plug a keyboard in if you want, or the microphone of a harp if you really wanted to. You could do that. Ash, question: is there no way to export save loops from the R600 to a MacBook? Last I checked, the Tone Studio didn't work properly on Mac. I use Mac. That's all I use. I don't use Windows. And yes, of course you can. What you need is, you've got the simple option, and the simple option is plug the RC600 into the Mac, turn USB storage on, and then ignore looking at the 600. look at your Mac, and then the RC600 will come up like a hard drive. And then you've either got data and WAV. So data is basically like your all your presets for like memory one, memory two, memory three, right through to 99. And you'll notice there's an A and a B for each one. That's the first thing. The second part is WAV, and then you'll see folders 001, 002, 003, right through to 99. Those folders are the memories with the WAVs inside. If you just want to rip the WAVs, that's don't even need to use Tone Studio. You can go into the hard drive of the RC600, go to WAV, pick the memory that it is, and all six are there. Okay. The other way of doing it, which I prefer, is using RC Editor, which is John Moose Taylor's unofficial Boss editor, because you can play them in the editor, you can move them around, you can pull them and import them, extract them, and it works so much easier. It's an unofficial editor. Yes, you have to pay for it, but I think it's absolutely worth it, because the way I've actually set up patches and memories and templates, I just do it on there and just go duh, 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 save, done, and that's it. And it just boots it over, and it's done. It's so easy. So to Ash Alter's question, you can just rip it from the memory slash hard drive that is the R600 in the WAV folder, or you can use the RC editor. I hope that helps. Ed Sheeran has finally watched the video by him. Ed Sheeran. I finally watched the video by him, and he is a looper giant, huh? I mean, whole stadiums. Yeah, he's the. Whether you like him or hate him, whether you like his music or not, it's pop. Fair enough, but he's the only guy who's done world tours with a loop pedal as a one, pretty much like a one man show. He's the only guy who's like sold out Wembley 4 days running as a one man artist using looper. I mean, you've got to give the credit to that. You know, he is the pinnacle of looping when it comes to performance. It's incredible. I think that's the stage where he's brought other people on. Don't get me wrong. He's brought other people. He's even brought Eminem on at one point. But he's brought other people onto the stage. But the pinnacle of the show is him in the middle. Like he has a stage in the middle for this. There was a mathematics tour, and being able to do that is incredible. I think that incredibly brave, incredible team to put that together. So if you haven't seen him loop live, when he was sort of becoming like Brink coming up and stuff, there's a couple of intimate shows and stuff like that, and he goes crazy with them. The energy he brings is fantastic, and I still want to interview him for the podcast. If you don't know about this, I have a podcast which is called How Do You Loop? Sorry, How Do You Loop? I'm looking at myself in reverse on the monitor, and that doesn't look right. We haven't done that podcast for a little while, but there are a load of interviews in there from lots of different loop artists, including people basically like Carl Walkner, David Shannon, Emily McVicker. So if you want to go and grab that it's available where you can hear your podcasts, but also it's here on the channel under podcasts. And I want to interview more people, and so yeah, get them to get in contact with me. Just go tell them. Tweet to JP. Shredlord 11, the Superstar Shredder. Super Shredder. It should be Superstar Shredder, really. Is your favorite instrument guitar? Because it's my favorite. Ooh. Being a super shredder, I'm guessing the guitar would be your favorite based on the name. It's not my favorite. My favorite actually is synthesizers and keyboards. I'm trained in piano first, and then I taught myself the guitar. Having said that, I love a guitar when it's in dadgad, because I love that tone. I love that chord structure. So normal guitar is not my favorite. Okay. And a lot of people were like, oh, shock horror. I'm not actually trained in guitar. I taught myself basic chords, and then I never did official training or anything like that. So guitar's cool. Guitar's highly portable. I love this. What I really wanted, other than to zig a zig is guitar, keytar, like a keytar. That'd be. It's only because it was portable. You know, the guitar's portable, and I do love playing the guitar. Please don't hate me for saying it's not my favorite, but I find much joy, and I know the keyboard blind, in the sense of I know what I'm doing with it. I don't with the guitar. I'm not a shredder. Um, I'm more of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. See what I did there. Anyway, getting on. So the guitar is pretty cool. I'm more an acoustic player as well, not an electric. But there we go. Carlos, message retracted. What happened? What did you say? Did I answer your question already? Find out in the comment section below. Firstly, how do you make the rhythm tempo follow what loop you just recorded without the drums? Meaning you play something and then the rhythm plays to your tempo of the track. Well, quite simply on the 500 and 600, it should do that anyway. The first loop you put down without the rhythm section will determine the BPM. Now, if the BPM is coming up like half, so like you've put something at 90 BPM that you're playing and it's coming up at like 45, then you need to change the settings in the record settings for that track. But then you can obviously do that. The only downside is if you're playing different intonation to what the rhythm is, you could be putting down like a bit of a swing groove, and then you've got this straight 4/4. It's going to sound off. It's going to sound odd. But yeah, any kind of like certainly any boss looper will do that. You just put the first loop down; it dictates the BPM. That's it. Set on an i600, yeah, after you've recorded it, the loop. Yeah, absolutely. I watched your video, Ronnie, I've watched your video about the Rossi Rhythm Converter. I downloaded MIDI drum beats and loaded it into Rossi Rhythm, but then when I click play, there's no sound. Okay, what you need to do is you need to have a look at making sure that when you've downloaded drum beats from somewhere else, that basically, it's actually easy to explain on a keyboard. So imagine I've created the beats and I've gone, that's the kick and that's the snare. So C and D. Okay. I know they're all black keys, but you have to bear with me. So C is kick, that is D is snare. So I've gone boom, bagat, boom, boom, bagat, boom, boom, bagat, right? You import it into the RC600, but the RC600 goes, well, my kick is on this C. It's on the one lower down. It's an octave down. So it's going burr, bagat, burr, burr, bagat. So when you play it here, there's no sound associated with those notes. So what you need to do is have a look at the notes and make sure that the sound is associated with the same note. You find this in MIDI when you put a drum MIDI beat on a piano and it just sounds blah, 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 blah. It sounds stupid. And it's just because it's maybe on the wrong MIDI note. So it either is too low or too high, and then you need to move that whole section either up or down until you find the right one. I think it's oh, there's my alarm. I think it's C2. I think if off the top of my head is C2 is the kick. But you can play around with it and find it out. So that could be the reason why it's not working. Go and have a look at the MIDI that you imported and make sure that the notes that are hitting are the right MIDI notes. Ash, you're welcome. No problem at all. Didn't know that about at Wembley Stadium 4 times. Yeah, absolutely. Sold out as well. Completely sold out. Now, there's an element of that which is kind of the fans, the screaming girls, the screaming boys, everyone, and that's fine because they love Ed Sheeran. But then there's the other element of doing the entire show looping, right? Now, I've seen obviously when he's done Shape of You, for example, he's got a keyboard there. He doesn't play the keyboard. Each note is a different sample, and he doesn't even play it like as if you're going dun 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 dun. He doesn't do that. He's just playing each note at a time. He's going dun 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 dun, and it's actually designed that way so it's lack of error. Okay, it's reducing the amount of error. So we can just go right from C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then he doesn't have to think about playing or missing a note. If he's sweating, doing a 2-hour show, it's a clever option. And things like that will help speed up the workflow because then that keyboard's got the right sound. It's a sample from the track from Shape of You, and that makes sense. So things like that clever little tricks to kind of like speed up the workflow, but also it means it's just reducing the error. Um, so yeah, go and have a look at take even if you don't like him, go and have a look at there's people I study for looping and also for beatboxing. For example, it might not be your cup of tea at all. You might hate the genre because not everyone likes it. But go and have a look at like the GBB championships, which is beatboxing championships. And then they have the GBB loop station championships where they use the 505 Mark II, or the 505 Mark One, or a looper of some kind to then, put all that stuff in. But they're using loads of effects. The way the guys do that is incredible. And I have mucho respecto for it. Go and have a look at Beardy Man with his five. Sorry, just seeing someone drive into my driveway. What are you doing? No, they're just turning around. He's got 5 iPads all doing separate things with the Beardytron. There's things like that. You might not, again, you might not like that genre, but you need to look at it and appreciate how people are doing looping in that respect. Again, Beardy Man is another person I want to interview and do a how the hell did you come up with that? So there we go. Bonnie, can you give a what? Can you give a test file for testing to download? Are we talking about MIDI drum beats? I can do a test file. Yeah. Or what you could do is get the RC editor from John, and there's a rhythm section there. You could do that. GM hardware versus looper. Audio Dabbler. Good morning. Hardware versus Loopy Pro. Here we go. Hardware. That's me. Don't hate me. I know I've done a load of videos all about Loopy Pro on the iPad, and that's cool. But when I gig with that pedal board. It's as simple as that. Mainly because I want the simplicity. It's what I'm doing and what I know. I could use the Morningstar pedal with that and probably do more. Certain gigs, people don't give a crap. Like, they don't care. Like, certainly if I'm doing cover gigs, no one cares how I'm doing it as long they'll dance to a car alarm if they're drunk enough. You know, they don't care how I'm doing it. So I'll do it the simplest way I know. And therefore that is a dedicated machine to do a dedicated thing. And it's built like a tank. And if I spilled beer on my iPad, like someone knocks, a drink over, and I'd be a bit annoyed. The other thing as well, the Alesis dock. Do you remember that? The Alesis. Does anyone remember the Alesis dock? Alesis came out with this wonderful idea of merging the iPad with a dock with an audio interface. No one has dared to do one since because the iPad's changed, and therefore it was like, oh, it doesn't fit, or it's the wrong adapter, and things like that. It's such a shame because someone like Focusrite or Alesis or Arturia or someone who makes audio interfaces, making something like that would be awesome because I know there's a pedal. I've seen one pedal. I can't remember who makes it. And it's got a ridge, and you put your iPad on the ridge and then connect it, and then the pedals are for that. And it was specifically for software, if I remember correctly. But how cool would that be? Because that's the kind of key thing that's missing. It's like, where do I put my iPad? And I don't want beer spilt on it. There's that element. But also there's the element of I want the iPad higher up, so I want to control it, maybe with my hands as well as feet. And there's nothing there. There's nothing like to do that with. Ironically, Mackie Showbox has a breakaway mixer that you then put on the mic stand. Fabulous. How cool would it be if you had a breakaway thing that your speaker has a breakaway thing that you put your iPad on? And then that becomes the controller for the loopy, but also at the same time that. So it's more cables, and by saying that, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot, but it is more cables and cumbersome in the sense of I've got to plug that into the USB of that to have an audio interface to make sure I've got a pedal. Whereas there's a pedal that does all that for me. And from their live looping, gigging, pub performance point of view, it's that. When I'm doing live streams here, however, the 505 Mark II has got integrated knobs, dials, faders, and it's really, really hands-on, and I enjoy that more. Um, because it's just fun. It's fun to play around with and go and just like be a little bit of a DJ to your own stuff. But there's no pedal for that. So then you can plug in a pedal, but then you've got to think about that. And I know an artist who is a guitarist who prefers the 505 than it does the 600 because he has more granular control over the mix. He doesn't take a mixer with him, doesn't need to because of that, because it's got those faders. So hardware versus Loopy Pro. Loopy Pro, I could build any looper I want, pretty much. And now with the MIDI looping, you can do anything with it. You can do anything with it. It is fabulous. It is an amazing piece of software. In fact, it's probably the best piece of software on an iPad for music creation, for looping, for integrating other things into it. Will I take it to an Irish bar to do 2-hour gigs? No. However, I take the same iPad as my lyrics sheet. So, the argument continues. Fast Eddie, interesting. I learned the guitar first and now I'm learning the piano. Oh, okay. You go the other way around. That's cool. It's interesting the way your brain goes as well, because my brain, when I go up to certain frets, it I can see myself doing things on the piano, like certain semitones and tones and stuff like that. So yeah, bizarre. Sometimes they come up with a pretty cool groove. With the looper, it's unbelievable. Sheeran mania, yeah, like Beatlemania, yeah, absolutely. I hate the dongle madness. I've not had any issues with my loopy setup at church, but it's not simple ever. Go and have a look at Alex. Da, 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 da. Where is he? Where is he? Videos. No, no, no. Right. Go and have a look at Max Yar, Maxyar, Max Yar. Go and subscribe to his channel first of all, because he's fabulous. But Max is basically dedicated to Loopy Pro. He has his own course on Loopy Pro as well. Now I've decided with Loopy Pro, I spoke with Michael, who created Loopy Pro. We worked with loads of stuff, and we talked about obviously Loopy HD back in those days. So we decided to do a series for Loopy Pro. And then just put it up on YouTube, and that's fine. I don't have a course about it. It's just, this is the kind of fast way to get you up and running, right? Max has a channel dedicated to Loopy Pro, and Max Yar, YAR, he has just brought out a couple of days ago. I'm trying to find it really quickly. In fact, I'm going to share my screen. Let's give Max a bit of a promo, because he's done incredibly well with this channel. There he is, Max Yar. I am subscribed, as you can see. Go and subscribe to him. 11.2 subscribers with 56 videos, which is amazing, by the way. But his whole thing is about looping and things like automatic looping without pedals, but with pedals doing that. But then he's done this thing about connect any audio interface to Loopy Pro for iPhone and iPad, and he uses the audio fuse. The Arturia mini fuse, which basically is what I've got the mini fuse for, because on the back of that it's an audio interface. That's a great video. If you haven't seen it, go and watch that. It's only been out 3 days, but he does a whole thing about how to loop with Loopy Pro. He has a course on his website, so it's loopymax.com. I'd highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. Oh God, I nearly pressed the wrong button then, and nearly pressed end stream as opposed to stop sharing. Blah, blah, blah. Can't speak. If you want the Loopy Pro sort of person, like obviously I've done an entire series about it. My series is kind of like getting you from the changing room to the shallow end of the swimming pool. Okay. Max is there to go all the way into the deep end. Okay. So Max, if you're listening and if you're watching, love the channel. Let's get in contact. We've spoken before. But he's got a great channel for Loopy Pro directly, and I highly recommend speaking to him. If you've got Loopy Pro questions, I can answer Loopy Pro questions as well, but he is always on Loopy Pro. So there we go. Anyway, moving on. I'm not one of these people who's like, "Oh, only subscribe to me, don't subscribe to that person who does the same thing I do." Like, we're all doing the same thing, and we're all trying to basically, you know, some of us are trying to make a living out of it, and also at the same time, a rising tide lifts all ships. So we should all be basically, helping each other out. Go and subscribe to Max's channel. Hate the dongle madness. How do you bring the keyboard sound into the RC600? Plug it in. I'm so sorry. I was so sarcastic. The RC600 has 2 XLRs and you've got 4 jacks. So I'll go and get it. Give me 1 second. First of all, it's battery powered. I've done a video all about that. Batteries underneath. There it is. The Harley Benton power bank power station. And I've left it switched on. Oh crap. So I'm going to have to charge it because I'm playing with it tomorrow. This is the new X pedal board. This is the Bumblebee. I want them to make a larger one. All they need to do is just make larger plates. I could probably get someone to make one of them and just make larger plates, but I want to make sure that it doesn't lose its rigidity. And then there we go. Now, for the fans of the channel, you'll notice that something is back. That's right. TC Helicon Play Acoustic is alive. It died on me and was just giving me a blue screen. I actually cleaned out the power port and it started working again. Yay! So there we go. And I prefer it. I much prefer the vocal and the and the simplicity of editing with it. So yeah, so there we go. So that is the pedal board as it currently stands right now. This is the RC600 on the bottom. Pierce, just seen you come along. I'm not a TC addict. I can stop anytime if I wanted to. Wrong. So you may notice that guitar goes in here, the top, XLR. So that's microphone and guitar going in. The outputs are XLR. So what I've decided to do is use these lovely flat L-shaped. Yeah, L-shaped. I am right, aren't I? L-shaped XLR connectors by Russell, Rustle, and they go into. I'm going to have to do this very carefully, which is not my forte. Let's be honest. Can you see there? Hang on, no, there. You see there where my bust thumbnail is? I'll explain about that in a minute. So the red one and the blue one. The red car and the blue car had a race. So the red is the guitar and the blue is the voice. So therefore, XLR1 on the R600 is my voice, and XLR2 on the R600 is my guitar. Therefore, I'm not using any jacks at all. So I'm not using the jacks. And then if I change from DadGad to thingy, I did have somewhere around here. Again, can't find things. Pierce, you should have joined us from the beginning, man. Jesus, me searching for a USB B to USB C cable, and the first 10 minutes was just that. I mean, flailing around, and I still can't find it. Don't know where it is. This is the Sonic Ache. There we go. The Sonic Ache ABY. How quick is that? That's really good. Sonic Ache. Get a Obsbot tail air. They're just fabulous. Look at that. It just refocused on the thing I put in front of it. It just knows. That's so good. I've seen like £1,500 Canon cameras not be as quick as that. That's great. Anyway, this is an ABY Sonic ABY switcher. So what I do is I plug the 2 guitars into there, and then the output of that would go into the TC Helicon. So therefore, the DadGad or the normal tuning or the DadGad, because I take 2 guitars on the gig with me. If I'm doing like a 45-minute thing, then I just take 1 guitar and I just do DadGad. But if I'm doing like a 2-hour or 3-hour show, then of course I'm going to take 2 guitars with me. And then the only other thing that's plugged in, we've got the 2 things at the top here. We've got the FS7 pedal, which is going to get replaced really soon with something else. And then you've also got the Sonic 8 volume expression combo pedal. So this is a volume pedal, which is also an expression pedal. No battery needed, no power needed, because this goes into the R600, and this controls the volume of the loops, which is cool because it doesn't control the volume of the main output; it controls the volume of the loops. Now, this is actually controlling up and down, so it should be. If I do this, can you see it changing the memory there in the bottom? Da, da, da. So I can just go to, let's go to memory 90. There we go. That's my play stop. That was the videos, the last two videos I've done. And there we go. And it's in terms of pedal boards with everything on it, that's the size, and it's really small. It's battery operated. So what was really funny was I went into I was gigging it, and there was a stage, like a proper stage. The guy was like, "Cool, you plug in there. I've got a big long extension lead for you." I was like, "Thanks, don't need it." And he was actually blown away that I was like running on batteries, basically. So it's a beefy, big Harley Benton power plant power bank Mark II. Oh, sorry, power bank plus Mark II battery. And yeah, so there we go. Are we recording right now? No, no, we're not. So if I turn that off, this doesn't have an on-off switch. I wish it did. But also, I wish TC Helicon brought out a new version. But yeah, there we go. Switched off. Ready to go. So I'll be performing tomorrow in Liverpool. So I'll be using that. So there we go. So the question was from Ronnie, how do I bring keyboard sounds into the R600? I've got 4 inputs. I've got the 4 jack inputs. I can just plug it directly in. And because every loop can accept a port from every port, then on my one anyway, then it just works. It just plugs in that way. So that's the easiest way to do it. Dongle madness. Oh, I missed a question. Hate dongles. I've not had any issues with my Loopy Pro setup. It's now simple. Yes, we need something else like that. USB-C. Yes, absolutely. A USB-C audio interface that snugly fits any iPad or any tablet, should we say, for the Android users out there who are using Android looping as well. Is there a split mode in Ed Sheeran Looper for output? Is the audio routing for 2-channel output to the mixer? Coco, for what you want, I'm just going to be dead honest, unless they change the firmware, go and get the RC500. I'm making that decision for you. The problem you have is the problem that most people forget about. On any looper, you have the input. Let's just say you're playing, you said voice and guitar, right? So you got your vocal, you got the guitar, you've got the output for the vocal and guitar, then you've got the loops and the output for the loops. So it's not just about splitting the vocal and splitting the guitar, you need to also split the loops. So you could either go the voice and the vocal loops go that way, and the guitar loops go that way. That's something the 500 can do. The Sheeran Looper Plus cannot do. The loops come out of both at the same, A and B. That's it. So even if you're able to split the vocal onto one and the guitar on the other, the loops come out stereo. Okay, and there's nothing you can do about that unless they change the software. And I really, really do hope they change the firmware. There's so many things that thing could do, and I know the chip inside is actually really powerful. So I hope that Sheeran Loopers have got a plan for 2025, because the other thing that people were talking about is the Stadium Looper. Now, there's the Sheeran Looper X, and there's also a screenshot that someone saw of a post-it note that says Stadium Looper. Now, the Stadium Looper, from what I can tell, is Ed's Looper, the one he uses on Stadium. I don't think they're going to bring that out as a consumer thing. I would love to be wrong. Absolutely love to be wrong. But there we go. Let's find out. Another question. Oh, IK Multimedia. Yeah, they could do something like that, couldn't they? That'd be quite good. Another question: is there a way to have GarageBand tell my RT600 the tempo, and though the also change the blinking tempo like the R600. When I've tested it, it did nothing. You want GarageBand to tell RC600 what the tempo is. So you want the main tempo to come from GarageBand and then the secondary to be the R600 to follow. Yes is the answer. It needs to send MIDI data out, and that also depends whether it's iPad or Mac. There is a way to do it to send MIDI data out. You're probably going to need a hub for that though. That's the thing. So for hardware multi-instrumentalist, what pedal would you recommend? I play guitar and keyboard. Interesting. Um, what looper would you recommend? Well, uh, I always say it depends on what you want to do. I know someone who has two instruments and a microphone, and they use a two pedal looper. I know someone who has a guitar and a microphone, and they've got a six pedal looper. It depends on what you want to loop, how you want to loop it, what you need looping, whether you need verse, chorus, bridge, whether you're just doing all multi looping, whether you're doing dance music, whether you're doing country, whether you're doing opera. I would say, take a look at how you currently play. Make the looper part of that setup, but don't change how you play because of the looper. It should be integrated into your performance. So if you're saying that you are, doing a guitar and keyboard, I play guitar and keyboard, and you are also, putting vocals as well, like harmonies and things like that. You're going to want something that can take all that in, or you're going to want a simple looper with a mixer. So you plug everything into the mixer, and then the output of that mixer goes into the looper. Depends on what you want to loop as well. Do you need to loop everything? Do you want it to be as backing tracks? There's loads of questions. So thank you for everything you've done and for education on looping and etc. You're welcome. No problem, Ashton. It's all good. Max Yard is awesome. Absolutely. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday indeed. I have looked at the Mini Fuse 4. It looks like an almost perfect setup for Loopy Pro and iPad. Go and watch Max's latest video. Max Yard's latest video, literally using the Mini Fuse 4. The great thing about it is on the back, it's an audio interface. So it's got a couple of USBs on the back, so you can then plug a keyboard into that without having to do anything else, and then put the keyboard like VST, as it were, or AUV3 on Loopy Pro. Perfect. Still live, yes. Max is great, yes. I noticed that you've got the TC Helicon going. I use the VE22. Yep. So I've got the VE22. We've got the TC Helicon and the VE500. Now, I struggle with this. And the only reason I struggle, and that's me personally, it's a fabulous machine. Where the VE22 stops, this carries on. So therefore, you have MIDI, you have harmonies that are dictated by the input of the guitar because it has an in and a through. So the guitar can go in and out via jack. You've got your XLR going in and out, which is fantastic. Then it's got MIDI commands and expression as well. However, there's so much more programming I feel that you have to do with this to make it talk to, an RC600 and things like that. Technically, where are you? You're over there. Technically, the TC Helicon doesn't talk to the RC600. It just plays into it like an instrument. This can, because of MIDI, can talk to it. So the BPM that you set on the looper can change the BPM on this. That's awesome. But then you need to stop it. So when you go back to loop number one, this doesn't go back to program one. And that happened with me on a gig. So it's like, oh crap, it's on the wrong setting. I had to then bend down and manually change it over. And yeah, you can stop it, and there's ways to stop it and everything else. I want to love this. But the way you edit stuff on this screen is no way near the way the screen is and the way the UI has been built on the TC Helicon, on the Voice Live Play Acoustic. So on that basis, there is also another element, and it's what you're used to. I have been used to the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic for years, and I have dialed in my sound with the the guitar boosts and whatever it's called, and the sound that I want coming out of it with the harmonies, the volume of the harmonies, the spacing of the harmonies. And I could do that with the V500, but it's going to take me a couple of weeks to dial that in and be comfortable with how it works. So for me, um, what I'd like to say, the old TC Helicon system. If you look at TC Helicon now, they are plugging audio interfaces because, from what I understand, primary people who were in TC Helicon left, and they no longer do vocal. Well, they do vocal stuff, but they don't do vocal pedals like they used to. I really wish they would. Sorry, I'm late. That's very fancy. Do you break your audio out into loops, live guitar, live vocal, etc. for gigs? Yes. So if I'm doing like a basic gig, even that pedal system, I just go master, main. Sorry, apologies for that word. I shouldn't use that word. Main, left and right out, like a stereo out, like a CD player. If I'm at a place which is like a a bit fancy and they've got their own PA and they've got a sound engineer, I can change that so I can go, here's the guitar, here's the vocal, here's the guitar loops, and here's the vocal loops. And I'll give them 4 out. So then they can mix because that's their job. It's not mad at an Irish bar in the corner for 2 hours singing covers. It's my job to mix it, and I've just set the mix, and that's fine. But then at a PA, you can't really hear yourself because you're hearing monitors. You're not hearing the real PA. So then you want them to sort that out. So yes, I will change it depending on the venue. I need a drink, but I haven't got one with me. Anyway, um, you're going to get 20 seconds of boring. That's better. There's people who've got like those fancy screens. I'll be right back with like animations. You just got to look at this crap. Well, I put water in my cup. So now it's the AB box that goes into the instrument one left mono, and it's fixed the problem of getting the levels half decent. Way awesome. Coco, then only the Boss Hot 500 will do the job for me. Not necessarily. Based on the two that you asked, the 500 is the answer. There's a couple more out there. I haven't got my hands on the VLP 400 by Valaton, so I don't know what the audio routing is like on that yet. So I'm sure there's people who've got their hands on them because they've just bought them and then put a YouTube channel. I'm speaking to Valaton to try and get hold of one, but they are getting bought basically. So they're really limited on sort of like promo stock, as it were. So I'm trying to get hold of one from them. So we'll be with them as soon as possible, and I'll be able to find out. But for flexibility, 500 all the way, based on a 2-track looper. The other one obviously would be, an RC 600, but it's double the price. So, take from that you will. Reckon the stadium version is going to have so many baked in assumptions around Ed's particular audio. I also think the stadium version is not going to come out. I don't believe that the stadium version is for consumer use. I believe that we're building the stadium version for Ed. That's it. So they were actually building the Plus, the X, and then the Stadium. Would you not be annoyed if you spent £1,200 on a looper for them to bring out a Stadium version and then charge what, 1,500 quid? I'd be really annoyed. I don't believe the Stadium version is for us. I believe the Stadium version is for Ed, and that's it. It is for the Stadium, aka what he uses at the Stadium. And what they used to use was an old PC software for looping, and then the Chewy was literally is just a MIDI controller, and they had 4 Chewies going around the stage. We could go to each one, and it was doing the same thing. The Stadium looper is that, but basically just an isolated system. So therefore, if something goes wrong, you can go to another one, and that's it. Because if something went wrong with the main system, the whole system went down. And he's had a gig like that where he ended up just playing acoustically because the looper didn't work. Right. So didn't have a backup system. So therefore, I believe I'm going to put it out there now, and I'm happy to eat my words, but The stadium looper for Ed Sheeran looper, I personally believe, and this is my personal take, I don't have any inside information whatsoever. I believe that that was for Ed. They were building different ones and went, right, that's consumer, that's Ed's, and that's it. So I don't believe that's going to go for sale. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. My last video, I had to I made a mistake, and I had to say sorry. Go watch it. The microphone input on the looper is XLR, but there is no XLR output jack. Doesn't this reduce the gain of the vocals? Yes, it does. The vocal input on the XLR is low. Definitely. Just be aware of that. Unless you're using sort of 48 volts phantom power. Wise advice. Thank you. Thanks for my questions. You're welcome. We've got about. Oh, I was going to finish at 3:30. It's now 3:32. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, answer a couple more questions, and I'm going to have to go. Alternative: the looper is a brand new instrument you're adding to your suite. I like that, Pierce. And it's going to take a while to learn. Think of the looper as an instrument. You're adding another instrument to your arsenal, even if you're just pressing buttons on the floor, because you're kind of doing this or doing this and going at the same time. So you need to be aware that a looper is another instrument that you're adding to your arsenal. Absolutely, I totally agree with Pierce on this. Darren, how are we? That was pretty loud. I'm sorry. I saw the peak level meter just go woomph. Two things I think I need to focus on: new to looping, practice, and not trying to loop everything. Yes, the first right. Go to my website, www.johnpaulmusic.co.uk. Go all the way to the bottom. There is a loop PDF. Go and get my looping PDF, and that gives you some information for if you're new to looping to have a think about what you're going to do with looping. The most boring videos, and I've made some, is when you see people loop absolutely everything. They're 3.5 minutes in, and then they sing verse 1. You've watched that kind of video, haven't you? You've gone, oh god, off. Right. If you've gone off, then and you're into looping, then someone's gone off a minute before that. Okay. Start bringing in the loop, the basic one, bring in verse 1, and then bring the bass in after verse 1, and bring the chorus in and everything else. Bring it in gradually. And then also, do you need to sound like the CD? That's what I used to say, but apparently now I've been told by someone younger than me that CD is dead media, and I cried a little. But the track, the streaming track, what do you call it now? The track. Does it need to sound exactly like it does on the album? Does it need to sound exactly like that? Go and look at Mary Spendo, and go and have a look at the acoustic, not acoustic. She played electric, but the cover she's just done on the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Mary is fantastic. If Mary's watching, I'm gratefully honoured because she's a fantastic YouTuber as well as a fantastic musician. And I'm sorry I missed your gig in Liverpool. I really wanted to go. So yes, two things you need to do: practice by all means, just like you practice a guitar, just like you practice piano, and then also don't try to loop everything. At least a couple of weeks. Yep. Similar setup to TC Helicon Play Acoustic. Been using it for years. Cool. Swear one day I'm gonna work out how to automate switching between something. I trust the sound engineer and just give him a stereo mix. Eddie, fast pedal. Why did I do that? I read Eddie fast pedal. No, fast Eddie. Every pedal that you buy has a learning curve. Myself, I had the RC2, the RC500, and now the 600. And to learn any one would be wild, but to do it and share on Excel Watch video on that one. That's cool. I mean, the thing is, the other way of learning, which is a selfish plug, is my course. I have a course called How to Loop Like a Pro. There's a link in the description box. It's £48, and that shows you the technique of looping. And I even use different loopers in that course. I use a tabletop looper. I use different pedals. I use Loopy Pro just to show you that the technique is the same. Once you learn the technique, it is a transferable skill. So you can transfer it onto a new looper. Yes, you go, oh, that pedal's over there and that does that. And I need to rejig that. And I get that. But the technique of looping is something you just need to practice. But if you want to speed up that process, go and have a look at my course called How to Loop Like a Pro. The link is in the description box. 500 is an awesome machine. I actually have two of them. played a gig last summer with it. Outside was awesome. Yeah, this is why I wanted the RC600 to be battery powered. That's why I've got that big battery on the pedal board, because it's the one kind of thing that's missing really. It'd be, battery. I like the idea of being able to. I've bust with the 500. It's fantastic. And loop control, the volume's right there. It's really quick. Yeah, you got the loop volume controls. Jared, question: do you think Boss will solve the RC500 problem of verse chorus single mode with not equal number of bars? I hope so. They did it with the 600, so they did it where you can close the loop per measure. So then you could have one that's 4 bars and one that's 7 bars. I really hope they do that in the firmware and update. That'd be really nice, because certainly if you're doing stuff that's a little bit different, you're kind of limited. You either loop a derivative of that and then it's not right, or you have to sacrifice in some way. So yes, it'd be quite cool to do that. Rowan, hey, how we doing? Love your videos, help me a lot with my live looping journey as a beginner. Good, thank you very much. Thanks a lot, and greetings from India. Wow, cool. India, amazing. If you put your tuner before the looper, you can bypass and go into another amp, so like a Marshall and Blues Junior. You really get your guitar sound, the jam with the loop. Okay, so so you're basically talking about obviously putting the tuner before the looper. Yeah, of course, absolutely, because you don't want the output of that to affect the tuner. Put the tuner beforehand, absolutely. Yeah, got into running. Gotta go and run. Thanks for everybody. Yeah, thanks for Eddie. It needs to be sound live. Make a rhythm, sing a song, then go crazy at the end with loops. Howdy Day got me into wanting to loop. Oh, Howie Day. Sorry, yeah, sorry, I need glasses. Howie Day, yeah, absolutely. Works for me. Yeah, bought the course and it's awesome. Thank you. Highly recommend it to anyone. Oh, thanks, Eddie. That's grand. Less than 3 or 4, maybe 2. Procrastinate. You got the battery. You got the battery is awesome. I'm gonna buy one. Yeah, I run everything through that battery, and it's probably the only thing, touch wood, that has just been flawless, if I'm honest. I know Harley Benton are not available in the US, but for those in the UK and Europe, Harley Benton Power Bank Power Plus 2, whatever it's called. I've done a video all about it that is powering my entire pedalboard, and it is, and it's fabulous. I'm going to charge it up tonight and then use it tomorrow. Most of the stuff on the looper audience doesn't even know loop until the second chorus. Exactly. I run everything on the amp, on my pedal board, totally portable, no power needed, all battery. That's grand. Cool. Guys, I'm going to have to leave it there because I've got stuff to film and stuff to do, faces to paint and all that jazz. If you know what that film's from, then kudos to you. And I'm going to leave it there for this week. Apologies about the start. When people watch this on the replay, I was looking for a cable and I actually hit live by accident. Which is great, isn't it? Have a groovy afternoon. I think we'll leave it there with Piers. Thank you very much. Been using the RC3 Cosmic, but growing out of it. Ready to try something else. Ooh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna buy, Cosmic? Think about what you want to loop and where you've hit the ceiling with the RC3, and then what would give you that next ceiling, or maybe give you that, touch the stars. What would give you that sunbeam? See what I did there? Leaving it there. Right. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. And maybe I've found that cable by that point. Has it ended? Can I start smiling? What film's that from? Only joking. Bye.